weatherman says, when the weatherman says it's rain, you'll never hear me complain. I'm certain the sun will shine. I don't care how the weather vane points, when the weather vane points to me. It's gotta be sunny to me when your eyes look into mine. Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those creepers? Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those eyes? Gosh, oh, get up, how'd you get so lit up? Gosh, oh, get up, how'd you get that size? Golly gee, when you turn those heaters on, woe is me. Got to put my heaters on. Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those creepers? Oh, those weepers, how they hypnotize, yeah. Where'd you get those eyes? Them there eyes.
The Radium Watchdial workers, commonly known as Radium girls, were young women in the early 20th century employed to paint watchdials with self-luminous radium paint. This presentation explores the background of this occupational radiation exposure, the conditions that prevailed during the exposure, the immediate and long-term health effects, and modern radiation safety implications. Due to the continuing influence of this historical tragedy, radiation biology is still affected by the impact later in occupational safety regulations and public health policies, making this a horrific yet significant case study.
The discovery of radium by Marie and Pierre Curie in 1898 marked a turning point in medical and industrial applications of radiation. Inspired by Henry Becquerel's 1896 discovery of uranium's invisible radiation, the Curies identified radium while studying uraninite. Their groundbreaking research revealed that radium could destroy diseased cells faster than healthy ones, leading to its widespread use in radiotherapy and nuclear medicine. However, with little regulations in early 20th century, radium was incorporated into commercial products such as radium-infused water and toothpaste, reflecting the public's enthusiasm for its supposed health benefits. Initially, radium was hailed as a miracle substance, with various commercial products advertising its invigorating and healthy properties. Radium was infused in medicines, cosmetics, food, and drinks, with widespread public trust in its supposed benefits. In this image, Marie Curie explains to a group of nurses the potential benefits of radium treatment in 1916. At the time, scientific understanding of radiation dangers was limited, as early experiments were inconclusive and the long-term effects remained unknown. Meanwhile, Pierre Curie personally experimented with radium's effects by deliberately exposing his arm, resulting in a lesion. However, a far greater risk came from years of working in a poorly ventilated shed, where he isolated radium salts from tons of pitchblende ore. By around 1910, the medical significance of radium, particularly in cancer treatment, led to the rapid growth of a radium industry in Europe, where its therapeutic applications were prioritized over the uses. As cases of severe illness and deformalities emerged among radium dial painters, researchers began to link radiation exposure to these health issues, ultimately shifting the industry's understanding of occupational hazards and leading to stricter safety regulations. The Curies themselves suffered from chronic radiation exposure, with Marie founding the Institute of Radium in Paris in 1909 to further study radiation's effects on biological systems. Pierre tragically died in 1906, and Marie continued to work until her death from aplastic anemia in 1934, likely due to the prolonged radiation of exposure. Even today, some of her notebooks remain so radioactive that they must be stored in a lead-lined box. Pierre Curie foresaw the dual nature of scientific progress, warning in his Nobel Prize speech that radium could be beneficial but also dangerous in the wrong hands. Despite these risk discoveries revolutionized cancer treatments, transformed medical imaging, and helped shape modern nuclear medicine.
This is the story of the Radium Girls. These young women who worked in the early 20th century painted watch dials with radium. Consequently, they faced devastating health issues from internal and external exposure to ionizing radiation. The United States Radium Corporation, or USRC, along with other factories, employed young women to paint watch dials with radioluminescent paint called undark. During that time period, radium was advertised as a health benefit. As a result, the women painting watch dials were unaware of its dangers and even applied it to their lips, nails, and teeth for fun. They earned approximately $20 to $25 per week and obliviously ingested about 4,000 micrograms of radium over 6 months. Tragically, these workers unknowingly ingested radium by licking their brushes to maintain a fine point. This led to severe health consequences. One of the women, Molly Maggia, died at age 24. She suffered from severe toothaches, bone pain, and abscesses that led to her jaw breaking off during a dental exam. On September 12, 1922, the disease spread to her jugular vein, causing uncontrollable hemorrhaging, but her official cause of death was reported as syphilis. One of the women named Grace Fryer began experiencing severe dental issues and jaw decay as well. As more women with similar symptoms emerged, Fryer sought legal action in 1925, but it took 2 years before she found an attorney willing to take her case. She was examined by Frederick Flynn, a toxicologist from Columbia University, who had been secretly hired by USRC. He falsely assured her that her health issues were not related to the company. Doubting his claims, and confirmed by her doctor's observations, Fryer continued to seek justice for herself and other women who were also affected. It was not until a male worker that died in 1925 that a doctor named Harrison Martland proved that radium had poisoned the woman.
Anemia, jaw necrosis, commonly known as radium jaw, and spontaneous bone fractures were among the early effects of radiation exposure in dial painters. Primarily, the symptoms developed within a few years of working in factories, causing excruciating pain and severe disfigurement of factory workers. Now, radium replaces the calcium in the bones and causes bone degradation, resulting in radiation induced cell death. Due to the constant radiation exposure, the patient's bones would weaken, become brittle, and eventually deteriorate and decay. The radium exposure beyond skeletal effects was also very severe. For example, chronic fatigue, weight loss, and persistent infections were primarily occurrences. Many women suffered from severe dental issues and tooth loss, painful abscesses, and swollen jaws. Therefore, the damage to the immune and blood systems also spread beyond the bone. Radium, which destroyed bone marrow, made many workers develop leukemia, anemia, and other blood related disorders. Many workers sought medical attention for their illnesses. However, their symptoms were not immediately known to be connected to radium exposure. Physicians misdiagnosed their illnesses as osteoporosis, syphilis, or general infections. The misdiagnosis and denial on the corporate level further delayed the proper medical intervention. Unaware of the real cause of the illnesses, some doctors gave ineffective treatments and even administered painful, unnecessary procedures to some of the workers. As women displayed more severe cases of illnesses, doctors and researchers began to investigate whether there was radium exposure as the primary cause and issue. A physician named Harrison Martland linked the symptoms women were experiencing to radium positioning. He administered autopsies on deceased workers and found high levels of radioactivity within their bones. Dr. Martlin's findings proved that radium was causing most of the vast health issues and defied the industry's assertion that radium was safe. While more scientific evidence emerged, radium companies refused to accept responsibility. They disputed the workers' illnesses and accused them of fabricating them. Affected workers were fired without compensation and left to deal with detrimental health conditions and mounting medical bills. A variety of forms of cancer, in particular osteosarcoma, leukemia, and other bone malignancies, were the long term consequences. Workers were also suppressed in immune function, cataracts, and chronic fatigue. Surviving workers and their offspring were reported to have suffered various stochastic effects, such as genetic mutations and reproductive issues. Many affected individuals did not get symptoms until decades after they were initially exposed, and the delayed onset of severe conditions. The latency period of radiation induced cancers and genetic damage showed that chronic radiation exposure was deceptive. Some workers who did survive hardly triumphed, stricken with protracted illness and limited medical resources or money to support themselves. Radiation syndromes of radium dial painters are consistent with late effects, including local tissue damage earlier in the radiation history and increased cancer risk later in the radiation history. Radium, a power alpha emitter, stayed in the worker's bones for years, irradiating the tissues. However, the latency period for these diseases extended for several decades, making early detection and intervention difficult. The disasters that affected the radium watchtower painters highlighted significant radiation hazards and the urgent need for occupational safety measures. These painters also undertook what they viewed as a protest against occupational dangers and envisioned a future of proper radiation protection. Examining this historical case deepens our understanding of the importance of today's radiation safety standards for workers in the radiologic sector. This necessity extends beyond radiation biology and conveys a powerful message in various areas of industrial ethics and corporate responsibility. The Radium Girls' fight for justice resulted in advancements in workers' rights, medical progress, and heightened public awareness of radiation's harmful effects.